Hey everyone, Deron here, and I'm here with Anthony, who had a session with me about 9 or 10 months ago. And I think this is a great opportunity for people out there to really see how after a hypnotherapy session that the results will continue to linger on for quite a while. So my first question for you, Anthony, is what was the problem that you were facing when uh, that motivated you to book a session with me?
Well, I felt I was um, suffering at the time. That's probably the best word. Through blockages and anxiety specifically. At the time, I could not gather linear thoughts, thinking sporadically, and kind of becoming overly emotional without being able to resolve a lot of issues. I was hired to do a pretty overwhelming job at the time for me, and unfortunately, I could not perform given these circumstances, and I was creating a lot of internal turmoil, of which I had no idea of where the source was.
Yeah. And how long were you dealing with these issues?
Well, they came in waves, I guess, over over years. There'd be some years where I would feel not so much pressure, and then there'd be a week or two where I felt like insurmountable pressure. It came in different times. Specifically, if I was to get more or put myself into a position to have more responsibility, I would find myself just not able to reach my full potential, and I would create distraction. So this has been happening, and through the session, I found out just how far the roots went back to even my childhood. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And how did you try to fix this problem prior to us working together?
Well, uh, I guess leading up to it, I was on a spiritual quest mostly, trying to isolate things that were happening in my present life, and then possibly beyond, and things that, there's firm beliefs that I have that translate into questions that go beyond. And I was trying medicines. I was speaking to many other people about similar issues that they were having. I did a lot of research myself, watched a lot of media, read, and couldn't quite come up with solutions, even though it seemed like what I was reading should help me.
Hmm.
There was still some type of work to be done that I
Yeah,
was just kind of still finding out and trying
yeah,
to pinpoint.
absolutely. And how would you to describe your experience with me, and what type of results have you amounted to from the experience?
First of all, it was a safe environment to delve super deep, beyond what I was accustomed to. So there had to be trust, even though I mean, we were casually acquainted for the most part to that point. But of course, when you took on the task of trying to help me, of course, if I truly wanted to be helped, I had to trust you.
Mhm.
And it was pretty easy for me to do so, even though that at the beginning of the session it was my own blockages that I had to get past. But once the barriers were broken, I was able to really um, to go deep.
Yeah. And what kind of results have you witnessed thus far?
Well, um, I I realized a lot of the roots were being carried and present in my daily life. And one of them was fear specifically. I, for the past 6, 7 years, I've been heavily involved in construction. As my roles increased, I was distracted more, it seemed, and less able to focus on myself. Also, I was becoming very frustrated because of the lack of perceived control that I had in my environment. And that was another issue I had to get over, realizing that there, it was just anticlimactic for me to try to control my environment, but yet be aware of it and use everything to the best that it can. So I ended up quitting the company I was working for because I was creating my own misery by staying, and the environment was toxic, and I was just I could not function clearly. So my decision was to still stay in town, and the people around where I'm at right now took a pretty good chance on my talent and capability and promise on all of this. So I started with a small contract that required me and a couple of other guys, and just in 4 months since quitting that position and starting my own GC company, I now have 11 employees, and there is so much work on the horizon. Basically, because I decided to change my attitude and change my philosophy on the people in my environment, and also the way in which I interact with the environment, and letting go of the fear of control, and also finally letting go of so much of the things that were present in my subconscious that I was finally able to bring head on, and let those things pass without, I would say, aggression, or without negative consequences. In the adverse, it was actually very positive to dive into these extremely personal events that happened to me as a child, and in my teenage life, and there was no one to blame, and it was just for me to discover these subconscious blocks, and to finally break that barrier and overcome them.
Yeah, it's truly remarkable how our unconscious mind will repress and store things for us not to be consciously aware of it, and really start to ponder on how come we're struggling with X, Y, and Z. And something like a modality like hypnosis can allow you to release whatever block that is. So that way you can amount to whatever it is that you want, whether it be no longer fearing something that really doesn't really necessitate a fear, having anxiety. So it's remarkable. What advice would you give to someone who would be considering to work with me in hypnosis?
First and foremost, trust themselves, and then allow the trust to come without being forced in you, and to not limit themselves to the barriers that they're about to approach, but yet to embrace them, to realize what they really mean. And even if you don't have an answer of what they mean, just to acknowledge it. Sometimes, as we discussed, the work isn't necessarily in the moment that you're experiencing it, but you begin the work usually after you discover what it is that is present. So
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Anthony, for your time in and just answering my questions, which I'm very confident will help people make a decision about really helping themselves heal themselves internally, so that way everything outside of them can look completely different, all from that change of perspective. So
yeah.
thank you so much.
All right.